Well everyone, it's been about a week since we've had the MacBook Neo in the studio, and so far this thing has been absolutely amazing. I've already made a couple videos talking about my experience, and there are some limitations to it, but for most people, this is going to be the perfect type of MacBook. But again, the target demographic at that $500 to $600 price point is for people that are trying out Macs for the first time. So I want to walk you guys through my setup guide and kind of the first things that you should do when opening up your MacBook Neo, especially if you're brand new to macOS. And even if you aren't, there's a couple tidbits in here that I bet you didn't know. So without further ado, let's talk about the first things to do on your brand new MacBook Neo. And of course, this is going to be for any other MacBook that runs macOS, but let's get into it. But now before we continue, if you do enjoy videos like this one, definitely consider subscribing to the channel and help us get to 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. But now let's talk about the first one. Well, alright everyone, let's get right into this and talk about the MacBook Neo and the must-dos for your core setup, especially if you're somebody who's new to macOS. For reference, I am using the baseline version, 256 gigs of storage for the MacBook Neo, and it does not have the Touch ID button, but we'll touch on that in a little bit. But the first thing that I like to do is to enable the Finder path bar. So, for those people that are new to Finder, and especially if you're used to something like a Windows kind of Explorer and kind of finding your files in that way, normally you have a path for the actual file that you're looking at. So, in order to turn that on, it's very simple. You go into your Finder application, go up here to the taskbar, go into View, and then go into where it says Show Path Bar. So what that means is that down here, whenever you go into, let's say, your shared folder or an application folder, you can see that you now have a path to where you're going. So it says Macintosh HD, your applications, and of course, the more folders and kind of tiers that you go through, the easier it's going to be to find. So if I go into here, double click on the desktop, double click on this one right here, you can see that now it says iCloud, it says desktop, it says Parkai Vendom, and then you can see that it gets you exactly where you need to be. And then if you want to quickly go between those files, you just tap back on the iCloud drive and it takes you back to that main one. So making sure that it's turned on, it's just better for navigation's sake. The next one that I really want to bring up is going to be to clean up your dock. So when you first open up your MacBook Neo, Apple, of course, has their own native applications like Pages and iWork and the Notes app and Apple TV. And I just recommend organizing this to however you want to see fit. So very easy to do this. If, for instance, you don't want something like the Apple TV app, you just click it, drag it, remove it, and it goes away from your dock. And then to access a bunch more settings, if you want, you can just click anywhere on the dock, you double click with 2 fingers, and you can have a bunch of quick settings here. So you have turn hiding on, turn magnification on. You have the position on the screen, so if I really want to, I can move it to the right over here. We press on the right button. Now it's all the way on the right-hand side, if that's something that you want to see out of the way. I'm so used to that. I've done that for years, and that's where I like to have it. You can go into your dock settings, and then you get a bunch more information here. So you can change the size of all the applications. You can make them teeny tiny. You can make them huge. I like to kind of keep it right in the middle, as you can see here. And then you have your magnification. You can do on, small, off. And basically what that means, if I do have it a lot smaller and I hover over them, it's going to magnify them much bigger. You can kind of move all the way down to small, so it still does magnify them, or just completely turn it off. Again, this is all about navigation and how you want to navigate your operating system. And then if you do want to add some stuff to the dock or more applications, it's actually very simple. A quick trick here is to go Command Spacebar, which is a shortcut. It opens up Spotlight Search, and you can tap on this little Applications button. It's going to bring up all your different applications. And if you want to maybe grab something like Freeform, you drag it, place it in the dock, leave it there, and then it'll be there persistently until you want to remove it. And then to remove it, like I said, you can either drag it into the display itself or into the screen, or you can actually right-click on each individual one, go into your options, and then remove from dock, and it'll remove it from the dock, and that's how you get that done. Now, the next one that you're going to have to customize here, again, you want to have all your quick settings and actions ready to go, is going to be to customize your quick settings up here in your task menu bar. So this is actually very simple. If I just click on your control center right here, you have all these different options here, which are good to see. So it's very simple. You just search something up. So if I want to have my sound, for instance, I just grab on this, drag it into the menu bar, and it'll show up in the menu bar and it'll stay there persistently. You can also do this to customize your control center, which is nice, but now you have your quick toggles here. And if you want to add or remove any, so maybe you want Bluetooth, you click on your edit controls, grab this, move it into your menu bar, and now you have Bluetooth in your taskbar menu, so you don't have to open up Control Center every time you want to access it. So now you go in here, and everything that you want to see will be there for your liking. And then like I said, in that same light, if you want to customize your control center, it's very easy. You just long press anywhere on the control center or press the edit control, and then you have an abundance of different controls you can add here, from your batteries to your shortcuts to you're now playing to quick access toggles like taking a screenshot. Very helpful if you just want to live in here and kind of play with the ones that you want to find out. It's very easy to use. You know, even quick shortcuts like tiling windows left, corner, right, very easy to use. And I love having the control center, and I'm happy they brought that over from iOS. Another one that I like to do right away is going to be in your display settings. But to show off what this means, if I open up something like Chrome or maybe open up something like, let's say, the music application, you can see that it's kind of zoomed in. Everything's kind of taking up a lot of space, and I want to be able to add more or do more on this display. And what's beautiful about this is that this is a liquid retina display, so it has a great PPI. But if you go into your system settings, go to where it says displays, you're going to want to hit on the more space option. If I tap on more space, everything gets a little bit more crispy, everything gets smaller, so you're able to fit more on this 13-inch display. No matter what device I have or how big the resolution or how good it is, even if it's a 6K display, I always go with more space because I like to be able to fit more from a productivity standpoint on my laptop and on my displays. But again, if you do want to have some larger text, you can go with large text here. You're going to change the resolution, we'll press enter, and now you see that everything is much bigger, it's much easier to read. But like I said, I like to go with more space to take advantage of the display and its resolution. And then another big one has to do with AirDrop. So AirDrop is a big way to kind of interact and move files around between your iOS, macOS, and iPadOS devices. But I highly recommend adding AirDrop to your Finder window as a default. So doing that is actually very simple. You open up your Finder window and then you double tap or two-finger tap on the actual toolbar, press Customize Toolbar, and then it lets you add some new functions onto here. Now this is recent, I actually didn't know much about this, but it's very cool to have. If I just tap on AirDrop, or I can just grab it, drag it in the same way that you would anything else, makes AirDrop go so much faster because you get a real-time look at AirDrop files moving back and forth. This one is a very cool one that I do think everybody should add to their Finder window. Okay, this next one is going to be a little bit more for productivity. It helps speed up your workflows for quick access toggles for depending on what you want to access, right? So for instance, the next one I'm going to do is going to be setting up hot corners. So again, if you go into your settings, go down to where it says desktop and dock, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom. Of course, you can go through this menu to understand what's going on here, but we're going to go over here to where it says hot corners. Then you're going to get this menu. So one is already predetermined for you. It's set up by default. It's called the quick note. So if you go with your mouse and drag on the bottom right and continue to drag, a little quick note option shows up here. But if you want to add another one, so for instance, on the bottom left, maybe on the bottom left, I want to go to mission control, right? So what that means is now it'll open up all the applications in an expose view. If I go to bottom left, and it'll show that for me. Also, if maybe I want to go over here and I want to open up a specific application, I go to my apps, top left corner, it opens up all my applications. So again, you can customize this to however you see fit. Set up all your 4 hot corners to do whatever you need them to do in the moment. This is great for productivity, and I love that it's just built in natively into macOS. And the next one's going to be tap to click. So again, we are dealing with a trackpad. It's not a capacitive or haptic trackpad anymore. You do have to physically click, but you still get all the gestures and all the beauty of it. But if you go to your settings and then go all the way down to trackpad, tap on here, this gives you all the different customizations. So for example, you can do your track speed. So this you can customize to however you see fit. By increasing it, then it's easier to move around. By decreasing it, you get a little bit more precision, which is nice to see. You can look up and data detectors. Secondary click with 2 fingers. So if you 2-finger click, that means you bring up your option menu. And then you have your tap to click. I like to turn this on because it allows you, again, to do exactly what it sounds like. You can tap to click instead of physically pressing down the trackpad, which in this situation is actually beneficial because there is a moving part in here. So you do save the trackpad from a lifetime longevity standpoint, which is nice. And then this next one is actually really cool. So if we go into accessibility, then go down to where it says pointer actions or pointer control, and then go to where it says trackpad options, and then go to turn on using trackpad for dragging. One more thing, 3-finger drag. This is going to be really cool. Now, this one's one that I recently learned. So what this does is that if I go into my Finder, for instance, maybe let's change the view here to icons. What you can do here is that normally if you want to click and drag with the single finger, you have to click on one and then drag it around. But what you can do here is click on anything and then use 3 fingers on the trackpad to then move it around. So manually, it'll just move it around, and I can go over here, just drop it if I want to, and now it's going to be on my desktop. But again, very easy to use, and it can work in any situation. So in any situation where you were to click, hold, and drag, instead of doing that, you just click, and then with the 3 fingers, instead of continuously pushing down on the trackpad, you just drag it around as long as you have 3 fingers. Very cool use case for the 3-finger drag. Highly recommend turning that on and at least playing with it. And now the next one I like to bring up for a lot of people is going to be your Spotlight search. So like I mentioned earlier, Spotlight search, you just press the command button and spacebar, and this is going to be your window to accessing everything in here. You can search your files, your applications, anything that's inside of your system, you can search for through here and be able to use it. Even things like shortcuts, which is awesome to see, but also you can do quick math problems. So if you want to do a quick 2, plus 2, it'll do it for you. And then you have the 4 right there as the outcome. You can copy the answer and you can continue to do things like that. But for instance, if I want to find something like Chrome, I just type in Chrome It'll be right there. Press on it, press enter, and it'll open up Chrome for me. So very easy to use, and the more that you use it, the more it learns from you, making it easy to recognize what you're looking for every single time. So for instance, if I want to do this, type in the voice memo, press enter, it'll open up the voice memos app for me very easily without barely having to actually use the mouse or the trackpad. And now this next one is for people that have this MacBook Neo but without Touch ID, but happen to have an Apple Watch of any kind with an updated version of watchOS. So what this is nice is because, of course, you do have the physical lock button on here versus the Touch ID. So to unlock it, for most people, you have to type in a password. So you hold down the lock button, it'll lock it, and then I do have to type in my password in order to get in here. But what you can do instead is go into your settings again, go down to where it says login and password. If you have Touch ID, this will actually be a Touch ID and login. But then you have right here, as long as you're signed in to the same Apple ID, so if this is signed into the same Apple ID as your Apple Watch, you can just turn this on, and then it'll unlock for you. You do have to type in your password, press enter, and now it's syncing, letting it do its thing, and now whenever I do lock the device and then open it up again, my Apple Watch will buzz, and then it'll unlock for me. So if I long press here, let it lock, you can see that it turned off. I'll press spacebar, unlocking with Apple Watch, already unlocked, and you can see right there that it's actually showing that it unlocked with the Apple Watch. Very cool. All part of the Apple ecosystem and the beauty of it, and that's what I'm hoping people will learn with this new MacBook Neo and the accessibility of it all. And the last few things that I want to show off here is all about customization and appearance. So if we stay into our settings, go into appearance, this is going to allow you to really kind of change up the look and feel of your Mac to make it truly yours. So for instance, you can change the appearance to go into dark mode if you want to, so things get a little bit darker. As you can see, all the UI elements do that. You can set it to auto, so when it is dark outside, it goes to dark mode. When it's light outside, it stays in light mode. You'll see the ability to change your liquid glass settings, change your icon style. So if I want to go all dark, it'll change all my icons to dark down here, as you can see that. So I do recommend going in here, playing with it to see exactly what you like and what your favorite versions of everything are. And then lastly, what I want to show off is just adding widgets. So macOS did add widgets up here, as you can see, very similar to iOS and iPadOS. And all you have to do here is right click, go into edit widgets, and then you have access to all these different widgets that are accessible. So if I want to add something like this one, you can add small ones, big ones. You have the bigger weather app if you want to do that. It gives you some recommendations that you can play with. All the different ones over here, which also kind of line up with what's on your iPhone, which is perfect to see. So these are things that I do recommend trying out if you want to add some different widgets on there. And those will be persistent on your desktop. They do kind of go away in the background when you have things in the foreground, but they're always going to be there. And the last thing I want to show off is going to be iPhone mirroring. So if you look up iPhone mirroring, it's an application. We'll press enter. And if you have your phone right next to you, as you can see, I have my 17 Pro Max right here. It'll let you know what you need to do. We'll press continue here. It'll start to mirror it. It's going to ask you to unlock your iPhone. It's going to ask you to type in your password. It's going to type in the password. We're going to allow the notifications to come in. We're going to get started. And then you're going to type in your Mac password. So once you type in your Mac password, it's going to unlock. You're going to lock your actual phone itself because it says that it's in use. Give it a second, and then it's going to load it up for you every single time. And then you have, this is literally my iPhone being used on my macOS computer, and it'll run exactly like that. So if you want to edit things that maybe you use an editor in your iPhone to do something, you can then do that. And I just love how easy it is to use, and all of your notifications will be accessible. You can even order Uber Eats and DoorDash, whatever the case may be. This is literally your iPhone just being run on macOS with an A18 Pro in here, similar to what it was in last year's iPhone 16 Pro Max. But those are all the tips and tricks I wanted to show off. Highly recommend trying them out. Let's finish up the video. So that will just about do for this video, everybody. Hopefully you learned something new. I helped you kind of learn to navigate the operating system a little bit, kind of set it up to your liking when it comes to appearance and widgets and your desktop and the dock and how it acts for you. And leave a comment down below if you did learn something new. And also I'm curious to know if you did pick up a MacBook Neo, is this your first Mac? What are you coming from? Are you coming from Windows? Are you just getting into a Mac for the first time because you're now going into school? Always curious to know who is the one buying this MacBook Neo, because again, this thing is going to sell like hotcakes, like it already is. But if you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And if you guys want to see some more MacBook Neo content, definitely click on one of these videos right here because YouTube thinks you're really going to enjoy it. But that'll do it, everybody. I'm Fernando. Peace, everyone.